Alright, what's up YouTube? It's been a while since I've put out any videos. Definitely apologize for that. Everything's kind of been crazy, been working a lot. But as you can see behind me, we've definitely been busy here at Hawthorne Farms. So I want to do some videos here to kind of show you what we've been up to, kind of what we're planning on going forward with this. We've got a greenhouse and some garden space and a chicken coop back there. All of this we've done since COVID. So we're coming up on the 2-year mark of starting this project. And I definitely should have taken some video along the way, but when we started, we didn't really anticipate that it was going to become this much of a project. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to show you what we're going to get into here today. We're going to start with the greenhouse over here. Alright, so the first thing that we did, after COVID happened and things like that, and we were here, kind of at home, quarantine, so to speak, we decided we were going to put up a greenhouse. And so we shopped around, all of the different websites, and I had put together a couple greenhouses in the past, and looking around, we settled on the Harbor Freight model, the 10 by 12. At the time it was $600, and we had one of those good Harbor Freight coupons, and wound up getting kind of a free shipping deal. So I ordered it, and we waited and waited, and they kept telling us that it was back ordered and it was out of stock. And at one point in time they even canceled the order, so I had to call customer service, and they said no problem, just reorder it. But the problem was that we paid $600 for it, and the price had recently gone up to $900. So I haggled with them a little bit and convinced them that they should hold their end of the deal, and they did. So we wound up getting the greenhouse for $600 with free shipping. We ordered it in May, but it didn't arrive until the end of September of 2020. So we had planned on putting it up in 2020 and getting it going, but by the time it got here in October, we were just a couple weeks away from freezing temperatures and things like that in the rainy season here in Oregon. So we did our best. We put it together as quickly as possible, and we got the frame up and everything like that, and it survived the first winter. And then we went ahead and really went into doing some work to it last spring. So once we got it, the instructions were really clear. The instructions that they had did mention, just digging a little trench and setting the aluminum frame in there. But we get some high winds here, and that kind of concerned me. So what we did is dig the trench the same as they said, but then we put a nice 4x4 wood. We built a 4x4 wood frame to stick in the trench, and then attached lag bolts with rubber washers and things like that, the frame to that, and then buried it as the instructions suggested. So what we essentially did was kind of made it a semi-permanent base, and I felt way more confident with it being, having that heavy base as opposed to just being that light aluminum dug into the dirt. Okay, so like I said, we put the greenhouse together in October of 2020 with the frame and the panels. We dug it into the ground with the 4x4 posts. Everything went together good until we got to the door. I was not really happy with how the door went together. We struggled with it a little bit, and they still don't slide perfectly, but we've kind of learned to use it, and we're still making some adjustments to it. So inside, once we had the greenhouse built, it survived the first winter just fine. The first thing that we did was take everything out of it, obviously, and level out the dirt on the floor. We added a layer of sand in the bottom, and then covered it with weed barrier, and then took just 1x1 concrete pavers and did an alternating pattern there. Once we were finished with that, we swept sand into it and kind of got those to lock together. And it's been really a sturdy, solid floor. It kind of has a little bit of a slope to it to make sure that it drains. And the floor really provides two reasons for us, or two reasons that we did it actually. One was to have a nice dry place to walk in here, obviously, and not have to deal with weeds and things like that. But also for the thermal radiation that it provides at night. During the day, this floor heats up, and then at night it kind of provides a little bit of extra warmth in here for the plants. All right, so the greenhouse has 10-foot ceilings, which is one thing that I really like in the summertime, because in the summertime a lot of the hot air stays near the top and the plants do stay cooler at the bottom. In the wintertime, it is kind of a drawback in my opinion because the warmer air does stay at the top. The greenhouse is equipped with 4 vents. They're manually operated. The only issue we've ever had with the greenhouse is it did get really windy one night, and one of, I believe it was this panel here, it flew backwards and it kind of came out of the track and wound up on the grass. So we tied them closed for the winter time, and everything's been good since then. You can see the wind is kind of picking that up a little bit as we're talking here. But overall the vents are pretty good. I think this year one of the things that we're going to try to do is get a couple of those piston driven automatic openers and give that a try to see if that will help, you know, not only opening them when they need to, but also providing a little more stability for when they're closed. One thing that we did is when we put it together, it's kind of the bolts sit in this little track. We left a few extra bolts there because we knew we were going to add an exhaust fan into this greenhouse. And we bought just an automatic louver attic fan from Amazon. Got a couple pieces of stripped metal from Lowe's and kind of created a little brace up there. Cut a hole in the panel, silicone that closed, some weather stripping, and it comes on with the thermostat control. We can control how warm it gets in here before it starts to exhaust. So that's definitely a must-have upgrade for the greenhouse. You're going to have some kind of better exhaust. It does get really hot in here. Even in the wintertime, sometimes it can get into the 90s. Also, we've got a couple of little fans to keep air circulating in here. You don't want your air to be stagnant or just flowing in one specific area. That kind of blows it around and keeps the leaves blowing. We have some extra lights and things like that for the early season, which it is now. As far as what we have growing in here right now, we've got plenty of strawberries. There's actually a couple that are about ready to go here. Delicious. Tomato plants, they'll be ready to go into the ground. We've got some cabbages and broccoli. Over here we've got some garlic that we planted back in November, I think. It's doing amazing. There's some more outside, not doing quite as well, but still doing really good. Some different herbs, oregano, chocolate mint, thyme, things like that. Over here we've got more strawberries. That is one of my favorite things, so that's why I grow a lot of them. Some onions, things like that. But we are getting into the planting season, so we're getting ready to plant our garden outside. Another thing that we did to upgrade the greenhouse is got a magnetic closure screen net. And we put it up with the Velcro strips that they had, and that worked really great until it got hot. And then once it got hot, that strip kind of got gooey, and we fought with it all the rest of the year last year. So this year we're going to try to attach it some different way, but it really helped to have the greenhouse door open, but have that magnetic screen in place to keep a lot of the insects and things like that out. Another upgrade that we're planning on doing this year, or finishing as far as that goes, instead of running an extension cord from the house, we do have some solar panels that we're going to place outside, and I've got a nice little solar panel setup that we're building here. I'll go ahead and move these tools for just a second and show you what we've built. This is our battery compartment. We can fit up to 4 deep cycle batteries in there. And then here on top we've got our charge controller and inverter, some different wiring and grounding, things like that. Some fans that I'll put in here to keep the batteries a little cool. And then we'll have some controls for some lights in here. We'll put some green LEDs or something cool in here. And then there'll be a trench dug out to where the solar panels are, and we'll connect that wire to the charge controller, and that will provide us enough power in here to run that fan and the little bit of lights and things that we have. We do have another light going over to the chicken coop, just in case we need to go out there in the evening, things like that. But everything that we've got is really low wattage. The fan is like 60 watts, I think, which is, this is similar to a house light bulb or something like that. So this setup that we have should be able to run the basic things that we want to run. and that should be really good. We'll kind of be off the grid as far as the electricity goes. The other thing that I did was did a little bit of plumbing here. On the outside, I'll show you when we get there. There's a connector where you connect the hose, and then once you turn on the spigot at the house, you have water inside the greenhouse as well. That does have a little stub off, so we can provide future expansion for irrigation in here. Alright, so since we built up the inside, we decided to continue on and create like a little staircase here that brings it down to ground level. Put a couple of little flower beds in the front there just to kind of decorate it up a little bit. But what I did here, as I mentioned, is I ran some plumbing here. It tees off, one goes into the greenhouse and one goes out into the garden area, and we have a spigot here. And we just take a garden hose with an automatic, or with a quick connect, clip it in there, you turn on the hose at the house, and then you have water in the garden and in the greenhouse, and outside the greenhouse here as well. One thing I'm going to do this year, I think, is instead of using the garden hose, we're going to actually dig a trench and put some PEX line in there, and bring it up near the spigot over there, just to eliminate the hose running through the yard. We can just kind of turn on the water over there, and it will be water inside the greenhouse and in the garden area as well. We'll go through the garden area in another video. We did some other cool plumbing stuff in there as well. But we're about to change this out this spring, I think, to a little different setup. But this has worked really well. You can just come in here, plug it in, turn the water on, and the whole operation has running water there. So we're going to go around to the side and to the back, and then that'll be a wrap for this video. Alright, so like I said, the whole greenhouse is put onto this little aluminum frame here that is dug into the ground and filled up halfway as per their instructions. On the inside, the concrete brings it right up to the panels. So the thing that was kind of a pain, and other people that I've seen videos for this same greenhouse, these little clips, they'll tear your fingers up after putting them in all day. They'll spring across the yard and go flying, or hurt the fingers, or the tips of your fingers. They're not really that fun to put in, but they've been pretty good. They've held, and we wound up getting an extra bag of them just to make sure that we had plenty. But we haven't had any issues with them so far. They're just kind of a pain to install. All right, and so around the back here, we continued the concrete pavers. I still need to finish this off. We didn't really get finished with that last fall, but we're going to finish off the concrete pavers, and that kind of provides a little bit of insulation on the ground around the outside, plus again weed control, so you don't have all the weeds growing up around the greenhouse. The other thing I wanted to show you is the outside of the fan. When the fan is not running, it stays closed, so the insects aren't really getting in there. And then when the fan comes on, obviously it pops open and the exhaust happens there. So overall, we're really happy with this greenhouse. I heard some mixed reviews on it when we first were looking into it. But for the price we paid and the longevity and the experience we've had with it so far, I definitely think it's a good greenhouse for the money. Would I pay $900 for it at this point? Probably. It's definitely been a good greenhouse, and it still would be worth the $900. So, check it out if you're interested. Leave some comments in the comments below if you have any questions. I'll be happy to talk with you about it. But thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.